Well, now heading over to our top 5 segment, guys. This week is top 5 film and television heroines.
Ooh.
That's right. Characters and actresses who played those characters who are just absolutely badass in the role that they did.
Yes.
Number 5 for me, I forget her name, what it was in the film, but Peppermint. Not a lot of people saw Peppermint with Jennifer Gardner, but man, oh man, it was so damn good. She's basically this badass just trying to get back to her family or revenge her family, I should say, because her family died. But yeah, I mean, think of like John Wick meets Jennifer Gardner
Yeah.
because she's killing motherfuckers and she does really well at it. And I feel like that's what you kind of wanted to do to Ben, but you know. But,
Hey, my number 5 is also Jennifer Garner, and the reason she got Peppermint is because of this one, Sydney Bristow on Alias, fucking badass double spy who was kicking major ass way back in the day. By the way, there's a little guy on that show that had a small role that of her like best friend or whatever. You might recognize his name, Bradley Cooper.
That guy.
Yeah, that guy. He was also on Alias along with Greg Grunberg and like a shit ton of other huge people. But she was just a total fucking badass on that show. And like there were so many rumors after Peppermint that her and JJ were going to bring Alias back and revisit and like relaunch it. And I'm still waiting. Please do that. I think it would be epic. It's been long enough. It's, you know how they always do that and it's too short and you're not wanting it yet. It's been a long time since Alias has been on. I think there's a market for it. Do it, JJ. Do it.
For sure. Well, number 4 for me goes to Laurie Strode. What's that name? That is Jamie Lee Curtis from the Halloween franchise. I mean, come on now. She was an absolute badass from the early stages of when her character was in high school fighting off this serial killer murderer, trying to protect the whole town and her family. But yeah, I mean, everything that her character has gone through and being able to finally wrap up the franchise the way they wanted to, I feel like was so perfect with this latest trilogy. So yeah, I'm really happy to see her being able to do that, and it kind of put her back on the map because I feel like the Halloween franchise kind of launched her career back to where now she got nominated for Everything Everywhere All at Once at the Oscars. So I'm happy to see it. But I mean, of course, she's a fucking badass as Laurie Strode in the Halloween franchise.
Oh yeah, without doubt. And it's so funny because a lot of people refer to her as like the OG Scream Queen.
Yeah.
You know, from horror films and that all these other girls are living up to. But you know what? She's not. You know who the OG Scream Queen is? Her mother. The woman who died in the fucking psycho shower. That's her mom. It only made sense that Jamie Lee would go on to be that, right? Like when your mom dies that epically in a fucking horror movie in the shower scene, you got to go on and do it yourself. That's all I'm saying. I mean, she was destined to be a horror badass. That's all I'm saying. My number 4, speaking of a badass that you never want to fuck with, come with me if you want to live. Sarah Connor. Yes, the mother of John Connor, who saved us all from those fucking robots. Look, I mean, honestly, it's one of the best characters ever made. And you know I'm not a fan of James Cameron, but it was a brilliant character. It was well done. She is no longer a fan of, divorced. But brilliant. And they've tried to live on through that numerous times. They just can't recapture her. The television series was pretty good. They had a different actress playing her, but I just don't think you're ever going to get that first movie and then Terminator 2 Judgment Day. You should have ended it there, in my opinion. They were badass films and she was a badass character. And yeah, how can you not have her on the list as a heroine? I mean, she saved humanity. What the fuck? I mean, come on.
That's funny. Number 3 for me is actually a real life person, but depicted in this film, Hidden Figures. Katherine G. Johnson,
yes.
played by Taraji P. Henson. Like I said, in Hidden Figures, the first, big time Black mathematician who was helping out NASA, trying to go to the moon or get back to the moon. I don't remember exactly. But yeah, just her interpretation of this woman and the real life depiction that she let us all into, because like we've talked about multiple times on the show, entertainment is the best form of education. And this movie is by far a great representation of that. And if you have not seen Hidden Figures, please do yourself a favor and go check that out. It is definitely worth the watch and definitely for the female empowerment, especially Black female empowerment, which is so necessary in this time period. So it was great to see.
For sure. I have nothing else more to say about that. I thought it was a brilliant film. Mr. Kevin Costner's in it, and
Yep.
just like a bunch of other. It's just fantastic film, and you should watch it because it's history. We're going back to fucking the moon, and we're going to Mars soon, and none of that would happen without this woman and her compatriots. So you should definitely watch it. My number 3. I mean, definitely one of my very first childhood crushes. And I'm just gonna admit it. I'm still crushing on her hard. Jamie Summers, played by the lovely and talented and just amazing Lindsay Wagner. Jamie Summers was, of course, the Bionic Woman, and God, she was freaking beautiful. She was so beautiful. Oh man, but I loved that show. It was obviously a spinoff from the $6 Million Man, and Jamie and Steve Austin, the $6 Million Man, were in a relationship, and they were together, and they were a Bionic couple, and they finally got married eventually after all kinds of TV movies and everything. But I just think Lindsay Wagner, she's just a phenomenal actress, and Jamie Summers was one of the most endearing and likable characters, and her dog Max, just the bionic dog, and just like I just think this woman was a total badass, but she did it in the nicest way possible. She would kick your ass, but in the nicest way possible. She was just like a really cool chick. It was like badass. Younger guys, you might know her as Karev's mom on Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
Jamie's, Lindsay Wagner, but still around. Please come on the show, Lindsay. I would love to talk to you. I like, seriously, I would love to interview you and chat with you about all of the greatness you've done, going all the way back there and all the way up to Grey's Anatomy. I just think everything is amazing, and she's an awesome heroine.
There it is. There it is. Number 2 for me goes to Hermione Granger, aka Emma Watson, being able to portray this character at such a young age and to represent what little girls were in that day and age and what little girls are now, I feel like is very important. And to show that, you don't necessarily need to be alt-right feminine, like just this crazy, I wouldn't say crazy, this girly girl. You can be whatever you want to be, however you want to be. And I think Hermione Granger is a perfect representation of that. So yeah, and I love Harry Potter. So you need to get through all of them. You're still on the second one, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah,
I am.
bastard.
I'll get there. I'll get through there.
Yeah.
My number 2 is Wanda Maximoff, played by the one and only Lizzie Olsen. The character, I've just always been a fan of the character in the comic books. I like the way that her storyline is bounced back and forth between hero and villain and hero and villain. And I think that Lizzie has done an absolutely phenomenal job of bringing this character to life on screen. And even when she's playing the villain, you want to root for her. You want to root for her as a hero because she's doing it all out of the right thought process in her brain. She thinks she's doing the right thing. And just amazing. And I'm a huge fan of Lizzie. I've been a fan of hers before anybody even knew who she was. I watched her in all kinds of little independent films before anybody even knew she was an Olsen sister. And she was just amazing. I think she's a phenomenal actress, and they couldn't have picked anybody better to play Wanda because she's such a complicated character and does go through. I can't wait until they actually introduce Magneto. And I don't know who that's going to be, but whoever it is better be on top of the game, because to have to stand up against Lizzie's Wanda, you're going to have to be at the top of your game to do it. It's just going to be exciting. So my number 2, Wanda Maximoff, played by Lizzie Olsen.
For sure, man. For sure. And number 1 for me, I mean, it had to be on one of our lists.
It had to be.
I mean, she is the definition of female empowerment and not giving a fuck about any man and doesn't need a man and all this good shit. I'm talking about Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia.
Yes.
This character was so absolutely badass. I mean, come on, let's be honest about it. Everybody loved that freaking bathing suit costume that she had in Return of the Jedi. Let's not even fret about it. But I mean, I'm just saying, I love Carrie Fisher in general because she was one of the first advocates for mental health and coming out before her and her mom coming out before like it was even a talked about thing. So I always champion her for that. But I mean, just the character, Princess Leia, I was always an independent person, even though she was privileged, but she uses her privilege for good to fight against the Empire and with the rebellion and to continue moving forward for the galaxy that is so far, far away. But I love everything that this character represents. It represents, being independent and, like I said, not needing anyone, but also relying on your friends at the same time. So it's nice. It's a great freaking character, and that's why she's my number one,
Well,
Princess
there you
Leia.
go. I mean, I agree with all of that. One of the best characters ever created, just a phenomenal actress and an amazing person, and tragic loss for the community. And that's a great number one. My number one is the OG superhero female, Wonder Woman, played by the one and only incomparable Linda Carter, to which all of these heroic women are trying to live up to. Linda Carter brought it, and she brought it so good that everybody tries to emulate it. They can't yet, although they've all come close. She's the OG. She's that spin move and like just the bracelets and the I don't need a man, I'll fucking kick your ass. She was kicking Nazis' asses. Like, come on. Like, a lot of people forget that when that show first came on, the first season was set during World War II, and she was kicking Nazis' asses. And that's like, how badass is that? Got a star-spangled woman in the stars and blue and red kicking Nazis' asses? You can't beat that. I mean, come on. All kidding aside, though, I think that, Wonder Woman is, you've got Superman, the very first superhero kind of ever created way back 1938, right? Then you got Batman, 1939. But woman, there she is, right around that same time frame, Wonder Woman. And then, oh shit, we can have a woman like that. She can be a badass. She can be, and what that did for changing the view of women, right? And they went through a lot of stuff to try to change her, because initially, if a man bound her hand, she loses her powers. And they're like, fuck that. Man can't bound a woman and then she become powerless. Women are in control. And her character and the way it was, it went a long way in changing how women were viewed and the independence of women and women being equal to men. She played a huge role in that movement. And so that's amazing. And then Linda Carter, just when we got the first live action version of it, was a badass.
Yeah.
She's like, we're going to continue this. We're going to make her a badass like this woman is. And it's going to be amazing. And it's so funny because you're number one, you brought up the slave suit that Leia wore, right? Well, Wonder Woman was like the guy that created her was like into like bondage and tying women up. Hence the golden lasso and her hands getting bound, loses her powers. Also the creator of the lie detector machine. Yeah, this is out there, right? Like, there's a great movie about him and the creation of Wonder Woman.
I could not watch that movie.
I
could not watch it.
It's a freaky ass movie, but it's really good if you want to know the history of Wonder Woman. But anyway, spinning back to my number one, Linda Carter and Wonder Woman. I mean, I just feel like she's the epic heroine, right? Like, come on, she's Wonder Woman.
For sure. Well, that is our top 5, guys. Please let us know what your favorite film and or television heroine is. We always love the fan interaction. Be sure to add us on Twitter and all the good stuff.